In today's review of Avatar: The Last Airbender, we're talking about the Season 1 episode, Imprisoned. And this is one that, while the concept of it is simple enough, like all the Avatar episodes, I have a lot of interesting mixed things to say about this one, and I'm going to kind of rush through in discussing the specific story points of this one, because some of the stuff I have to talk about is, like, pertinent to the entire series. It's stuff I'm going to talk about again later, but I want to start talking about it now. And this episode is a perfect jumping on point to do that. Like, we're talking stuff from, like, the finale of this show and from Korra and stuff, right? So just getting it out of the way really fast. This is the episode that introduces the character of Haru, a friend of Katara's. While Team Avatar is setting up camp, they hear him practicing his earthbending and follow him back to his town, a small coal mining village, and find out that he's not supposed to be earthbending, because he's supposed to be pretending like he can't earthbend because he's all his mother has left after his father was taken, along with the village's other earthbenders when they first resisted the Fire Nation's takeover of their village for its coal. Earthbending is now illegal in their village. Anyone who is shown earthbending will be taken to the same all-metal rig out at sea that all of the other earthbenders from their village and a buttload of other Earth Kingdom villages were taken to. Yeah, that's right. But after Katara bonds with Haru over their shared loss of parental figures, him, his father, and her mother, though, to be fair, her loss was a little more permanent than his, and even compare the fact that Haru and his father both being earthbenders, Haru can't give up his earthbending because it's the only thing that makes him still feel close to his father, with Katara being unable to give up the necklace that she wears that was given to her by her mother because it makes her feel close to her mother. They bond very quickly. In fact, I know that there's like some shipping that goes on with these characters because they do have a lot of chemistry with each other right out the gate. And for as much as I love the Avatar fandom most of the time, if Katara shows any amount of chemistry with any male character, somebody's going to ship them. Which is, I think, kind of silly, frankly. It was very, very clear from the first moment that he saw her that she and Aang were endgame. I mean, come on, guys. Like, ship who you want. Ship doomed ships if you want, but, like, I think it's kind of silly, personally. But that's beside the point. Haru wants to earthbend, and he wants to fight back against the Fire Nation. They extort money from the villagers at a threat of being burned alive, or at the very least having their livelihood destroyed by fire, but, like, you'd assume that would involve some people being burned alive too, right? And we hear from Haru that Katara reminds him of his father because she seems very outspoken and courageous, and his father was like that too, and if he's trying to feel close to his father, of course he's going to kind of project some of that himself. So the two of them do bond, and because of all of that, when an old man gets caught in a cave-in in one of the mines, and Katara insists that Haru should do the right thing and save him with his earthbending, he does so reluctantly, and gets turned in and taken off to that rig, where, because there's no earth around, the earthbenders can't fight back there. They're at the mercy of either the firebenders or, if they want to risk it, the sea. Which is kind of ironic, because the main earthbending character later on in the show literally learns how to bend metal. She would have been invincible there. But that's beside the point. I just am always looking for excuses to talk about Toph. So, wanting to fix her mistake, realizing what she did and wanting to fix her mistake, Katara schemes to trick the guards into thinking that she is also an earthbender. So she'll be taken off to that rig. This is where we get the clip that's used in memes sometimes of the guards originally thinking that it's Momo who's earthbending, right? It's a pretty funny scene. And I'll talk about that in a second. And once she's there, she tries to inspire the earthbending prisoners to fight back, even though they don't have their element to draw upon. And it doesn't work. Even Haru's courageous father is so beaten down by this that he refuses to stand up. So she works together with Sokka and Aang, helping them to sneak onto the rig to get coal from the reactor up onto the deck so that they can use that
as ammunition, and tries to get them riled up to fight back against the oppressive regime of Warden Sulu.
And it still doesn't work until Haru stands up, and then everybody else stands up to either protect him or fight with him. And so in the end, Katara does manage to inspire these people. They fight back, they escape the rig, and now they're going to go back to their villages and kind of sweep across that entire swath of the Earth Kingdom and free those villages and fight back against the Fire Nation. There's a little resistance brewing now. So in the end, even though Katara screwed up, things worked out for the best. And that's kind of my main takeaway from this episode. Because the show does this a lot. Like, I like this episode. I like episodes of shows where the message is naive optimism is actually a good thing. Because I believe that it is. Really. Like, in real life. Like, you should be aware of it and temper it. But I think it's a positive thing. And I do like this as a metaphor for the youth rising up to make a change where the past generation simply can't, leading the way to a better future. Because it took his son taking action for Haru's father to find the strength again to continue to fight. And Haru only found the strength to continue to fight because Katara showed up to inspire him further. And I particularly like that she didn't just show up with Aang and Sokka and save all of them herself. Like, not literally herself, because they would have been with her, but you get what I mean. They actually had to fight back too. She didn't swoop in and save these people. They saved themselves. She was just there to help. And I like the humor in this one too. There's nothing too ridiculously over the top, but there's a few humorous moments here or there that really work. Even the betrayal of that old man turning Haru in. Like it sucks. I'm pissed that he did that, right? That he shouldn't have done that, right? But this episode has a hopeful enough message that one slimy character doesn't ruin the character's faith in humanity, and it doesn't ruin my faith in this fictional version of humanity either. It's still clear that most people are trying to do good by whatever they feel is right. But the show does this a lot. The characters in this show make naive and overly optimistic choices, oftentimes selfish choices, because you think about it, Katara's egging on of Haru to help in that situation and to put himself in danger was kind of selfish. She thought that he should be helping where he could, if he could, regardless of what was best for him and his safety, his long-standing safety. And so she pushed him to make a choice that was objectively dangerous, one that didn't affect her. She wasn't going to be on the chopping block with him if he ended up getting caught, right? She puts herself there later, but inherently, she wasn't at risk. And what's worse is she then makes basically the same decision again, but she ropes Aang into it by using his airbending to make herself seem like an earthbender. What if those guards hadn't fallen for it and had realized somebody was airbending and had found Aang and captured him, or in an ensuing struggle killed him? This isn't the kind of show that would go there, but realistically, those are things that could have happened in a situation like this if the show wanted to explore something like that, which it clearly doesn't. And I'm fine with that, right? I'm fine if the show wants to go that direction. But, and I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of fans of this show have issues with the tone of Korra. Once you get to Korra, a show which does treat its world a little more seriously, and you start to see characters making these same kinds of decisions there, and things don't always work out so well, it's jarring. And not only that, but seeing the results of returning characters from this show making those same sorts of selfish choices and becoming seemingly worse people for it over time, is jarring. And it makes you kind of half hate these characters. Like Toph's love for taking down bad guys and using her powers to fight, translating into her literally becoming a cop, kind of sucks. And her strong independence, never being tempered to the point that she neglects her family, kind of sucks. Toph is still a lot of fun in Korra, but she did some shitty things. Aang did some shitty things too, frankly. It's a major plot point for a while that he treated Tenzin so much better than his other kids, simply because Tenzin was an airbender that Aang could share his culture with. And people say that that isn't Aang. That Aang shouldn't have been treated that way by the writers, but that's entirely in character for him. Because Aang makes these same kinds of choices too. And this is something I'll talk about more when we get to the actual finale of this show. But Aang's choice to risk the entire world in order to keep to his people's tradition of pacifism as best he could by not killing Ozai when he had the chance was naive and optimistic, but also selfish and stupid. And you could argue that, well, he was risking his own life there, so it took a lot of courage to make that choice. And frankly, I wouldn't have been able to find the courage to make that choice. I would have just killed the bastard, right? In that situation. Not that I'm ever going to be in that situation, but you get my point. And so at the end of the day, Aang took a very courageous risk, and it paid off for him. And this isn't the kind of show where it was ever not going to pay off for him. But then you move on to a show like Korra, and I think 9 times out of 10, a risk like that wouldn't have paid off, at least not immediately, and people would have gotten hurt. And Aang was risking literally the entire world. I don't think it's worth it. And frankly, Katara's choice to get taken out onto that rig, risking Aang in the process, to help Haru and the other Earthbenders, that's not a risk I would have taken. Because, frankly, she was risking just as much as Aang did at the end there. By putting him in harm's way. And risking him potentially being found out and caught. When he is the world's last hope. But that is a choice that Aang made to preserve the integrity and the continuity of the Airbender traditions. And so I buy 100% that it is entirely in character for Aang to care more about Tenzin than his other kids. Because he has been shown to care more about Airbender tradition than literally the entire world. And just because that was portrayed as a good thing in one show, doesn't mean that it's not kind of shitty. And so in this episode where the characters are naively optimistic and it pays off, like genuinely good things, genuinely good changes to this world and structure come about because of those naively optimistic risks. This is an episode which very much portrays the character of Katara as being profoundly flawed. And while this show does explore that to an extent, even doing so a little bit in this very episode when Zuko finds Katara's necklace that she lost on the rig, intending to use it later to track her, I don't think it ever really explores it enough. Because, on one hand, this is the kind of show where, regardless of how dangerous the world is, it's going to be naive, childlike optimism which wins the day. I do think, looking back, that I would have appreciated a little bit more realism here or there. I would have appreciated these characters actually losing some ground every once in a while. And like they do sometimes, but not really. Even the Day of Black Sun, whatever it was called, that's what it was called, right? I think. Even their loss there, they didn't really lose any ground, because they just continue their journey as usual, pretty much immediately after it's over. And I think that's a big reason why some fans find Korra so jarring, is because tonally speaking, it's a very different kind of show. It's the kind of show where they can explore the more realistic side of that kind of thing. And they do. And it feels very different as a result. And granted, I haven't read all of them, and the ones that I have read, it's been years since I've read them. But I think some of the Avatar: The Last Airbender comics dig a little bit more into the nuance of this kind of thing too. So I'm really looking forward to jumping back into those, because I am going to review those as part of this series as well. That said, I apologize for all the tangents in this one. I do like this episode, and I do like the optimistic message of this show, right? I'm not criticizing those things. That's the kind of show this is. And I think that's a good thing. These are all topics that I'm going to get into more as we progress through these reviews. And like I said before, I just wanted to get a head start on them here, because this was a good time to do that. As per usual, though, I'd like to know, what do you think of the Avatar: The Last Airbender episode, Imprisoned? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video and share it with anyone else you think might enjoy my content. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm trying to get myself out there, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys could help. You can check out my social medias and my Patreon. Links to those will be in the video description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.